Joining us on the podcast once again today is a man I can proudly call a returning champion to this show. Of course, you all know him best as the head coach of the Columbia men's tennis program, a team that enters the round of 16 as the number 8 seed, and they will host NC State this weekend. Welcome back onto the show, Columbia men's tennis head coach Howard Endelman. Coach, it is always good to see you. Welcome back to the program. How are you and the Lions feeling as you get ready for the Sweet 16?
Thanks, Alex. Great to be here, and thank you for everything you do for college tennis and tennis in general. And we're excited. I'm excited to be on the show, and we're excited to be playing.
No, it is always great to have you, and, let's just get right into it. Let's start with last weekend. Lions got pushed in that round 2 match. It was ultimately a 4-2 victory for your team, but of course, doubles, tightly contested, and multiple 3-set matches across the board. I know you guys were up for the majority of that match, but talk me through the test and what you saw from your guys as they ultimately advanced.
Yes, thanks. What a battle, and what a job Brandon and his staff and all the players have done at Clemson. We started the doubles. We were I think we were up a break in every court early on, and court one, Mike and Nicholas, I think we're up 2 breaks, and we're like, okay. And then all of a sudden, Clemson kept battling, kept fighting. Hugo and Jaden at 3 serve forward at 5-4 at around the same time that Max and Sachin at number 2 were receiving 4-5 love 40, 4 match points for the doubles point, and then Clemson holds at 2 and then breaks us at 3 around the same time, and all of a sudden, we're in a total dogfight in 2 breakers, and then we ended up getting the doubles point and then winning 5 first sets like that, right? So then all of a sudden, people are looking around. It was so quiet. There were a lot of people here, but it was so quiet. And I don't know what the spectators expected, and I'm like going around saying to our guys, look, Clemson is not going to go away. There is no way. Like, this team is too good and too tough and too mentally strong to ever go away. And they didn't. And like you said, it turned into a massive dogfight.
Yeah, no, it was a heck of a battle for your guys, and for it to be Hugo, it's always freaking Hugo. Like, I don't have to tell you that, but for it to be him to clinch that match and earn another opportunity to play on that rooftop, one of the most beautiful facilities we have in college tennis, just does it ever get old watching a senior have a moment like that? And, what does it say about him that he continues to come through in those moments?
Yeah, well, Hugo's killing me because to graduate from Columbia, you have to pass a swim test, which is three laps, just 3 laps in the pool, and you have all 4 years to do it. Everybody's got to do it to graduate. And I start getting these emails from the deans yesterday, 2 days before Sweet 16, that, oh, by the way, Hashimoto's not going to be able to walk in graduation because he never did his swim test. I'm like, are you kidding me, man? So all morning I'm trying to figure that out. That being said, I I love these guys. I love these seniors. It's like incredible. Hugo, Max, Jaden, and every one of them has kind of a different story about how they got here and what their experience has been like here at Columbia from the beginning. Remember, these guys all came in right after the conference had shut it down for 2 years for COVID, right? So they come in. There's only 2 players left. We've got 8 new guys effectively the year before and this class, and we have no tennis center, right? So we're just driving all over the place. If it's Alex Kotzen, he's running 6 miles to practice in the Bronx, like you noted last night. And these guys all started then, and there's been a lot of ups and downs, and I just love these guys.
Yeah, no, it is really your first full class, right? Of guys you were the head coach of for full 4 years, no interruptions, and yeah, I do want to ask you more about them. Since the name came up, I know you had an eye on it. Can I just get your thoughts on your former player, Alex Kotzen, having a moment like that? 5 love down in the third, coming back the way he did. Did it shock you at all to see it?
Well, this being down, love five and to come back seven straight games is remarkable and shocking in many ways. At the same time, I know what Alex has done over the years. And he and I spoke about it that night. I actually it was Sunday and I was so tired from the day before and I fell asleep. I fell asleep and my phone was right next to me and all of a sudden it's like buzzing and ringing and all this stuff. Everybody's like, "You got to turn this on." Like Alex is down. He's got it back to 5-all and it was just madness. So he and I spoke and it did not surprise me that Alex or many of these other guys can do that. People don't realize, like, during COVID, there's no tennis in the Ivy League. Alex Kotzen is in school doing virtual school with all his Columbia classmates. The only difference is he's doing it in Monastir, Tunisia,
Yeah.
playing and taking all classes in the afternoon in Monastir, which is the evening in New York. So the guy was just living in Monastir, just playing 15Ks the whole time. So I see all that. I see when we're driving when we had no tennis center and it's getting built and we're playing all over the place. And one of the places is Cary Leeds we're playing. So I'm driving the van, to Cary Leeds Tennis Center out in the Bronx, and I'm driving the van to get there. And Alex sometimes can be a little late to the van. So I just leave every time. And then all of a sudden, like, guys are like, "We're just leaving." I'm like, "Yeah, he'll get there." So Alex runs to practice 6 miles through the Bronx. And then he goes and has a practice, long practice, wants to do more. And I see all the dedication the commitment and the dedication by him and his entire family, including both brothers, mom and dad, the entire extended family, to put him in that position. Does anyone think he can come back down 5-love in the third? No, that's tough for anyone. At the same time, it actually, I can understand how it can happen.
Yeah, no, it was so impressive, and I appreciate you sharing that insight. It's why I had to have him on the show because it's just like it's one of those
Yeah.
moments we'll talk about forever. And certainly, again, losing him, Ishan, Henry, Theo, a class that guided this team to their first quarterfinal last year. Any team is going to feel their absence. And so I ask you, Coach, if on January 1st I would have told you, you guys on May 9th will be 19-4, the number 8 overall seed, and hosting the Sweet 16, you think you would have believed me?
I don't know. I don't know because well, in some ways, it's pretty remarkable what these guys have been able to do, right? On one side of the coin, and several people have said this to me. Um, Looks like the light just went off. You see me okay?
I can see you.
So several people have said this to me. Well, wait a second. If the conference did not have this rule, which said that once you get your undergraduate degree, you're done, despite the fact that you have more NCAA eligibility, then Alex, who maybe an All-American now, likely an All-American in singles, Theo Winiger, who's an All-American in doubles, like those guys all would have been here. Ruger, Ishan, like Ruger started the whole year for Vanderbilt, singles and doubles. Those guys all would have been here. So, you know, that's part of it. That's half of it. The second half of it is the other side of the coin is had those guys been here, but for this rule in this conference, then guys like Sachin Palta, guys like Potter, Jaden Templeman quite possibly would not have been able to be so terrific at number 3 doubles with Yugo Hashimoto for the entire year because it just would have been Alex and Henry Ruger again at number 3 doubles like it was last year, right? So the other side of it is these other guys got a chance to show what they can do, and they've really come up big. So we talk a lot about not allowing our minds to limit us. So it's like, let's just go out and try to be as tough to beat as we possibly can in every single point, and let's see where it goes. In January, if you said we're going to be hosting right now the Super Regionals, I would say, well, That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. Now, again, the Milstein Family Tennis Center deserves super regional action. And if you heard last night, I thought one of Alex's funniest answers is he goes, there was a moment where I thought to myself, oh, it'll be great. My girlfriend and I will go watch Nick in the
Yeah.
Sweet 16. We'll have a fantastic night. And then he was like, wait, snap out of it. Like, I got to focus on the match at hand. But obviously, now you have that opportunity. And I was talking with the ultimate Columbia tennis whisperer, your fantastic brother Rob, and he pointed out that a reminder Columbia's first NCAA tournament win was in 2014. You guys are now a staple, a presence in the Sweet 16. Like, we just expect you to get there. I know that fact is not lost on you. Do you think it's lost on the guys? Like, how I don't routine feels like we're taking it for granted, but consistent
Right.
this success has become.
Yeah, I think it's really tough for the young guys,
Mm-hmm.
especially the guys who started after COVID, to understand um, kind of what it was. And yeah, you make a great point. In 2014, we went to Nashville, Vanderbilt, and we had never, Columbia had made the NCAA tournament, but never won a match in the NCAA tournament. And that was, you know, when I first started here with Coach Bid, who was my coach in the 80s, a wonderful gentleman and a second father to me. Um, in 2010, we're just like we're just starting, right? They had done okay. I had the opportunity to come back, and he's like, "Well, what do you think is possible?" People are kind of asking me. They go through the interview process and all this, and people are asking me, "What do you think is possible?" I said, "Top 25," and people looked at me like I'm absolutely crazy. How are you going to be top 25 in an Ivy League school? So it took a while for these guys to buy in that first recruiting class. Winston Lynn, Max Schnur, Ashok Narayana, Bert Van Court, greatest guys ever. And these guys started to buy in. It took 2 to 3 years till we started to play okay. And then 2014 and 2015, we made the Sweet 16 with actually no blue chips on the roster. No, using that one metric, U.S. guys, no blue chips on the roster at all those 2 years. And we made the Sweet 16, and we started to say, okay, well, maybe we can do something here.
Yeah. No, it's a tangent, but I was thinking I'm always thinking Mount Rushmore's. Bid you, and you're too humble to say you, but you have to be on the Mount Rushmore, my friend. Winston Michael. I think that's the four. I think those are the faces of the Columbia Mount Rushmore. We'll put it on top of the on the roof courts, and we'll have it up there or make it visible from there. But yeah, again, it speaks to what you guys have accomplished. And again, I know it's a little bit in the rearview mirror, and you've talked about it plenty. But does the day in day out excellence of Michael ever get old? Like, what does it take for someone to be this consistent at one, to be the guy everyone is chasing? He's the NCAA singles champion, and to
Yeah,
do it as well as he did all year long.
yeah, he is just special and unique, and that's a credit to Michael and his entire family. The sacrifices that they've made. It's he's just different. He to his credit, he reached the finals of the NCAA singles in May in Stillwater, comes back in the fall, wins the NCAA singles championship in Waco, and then just comes back after he played in France tournament over there, and then he comes back in after Christmas, after New Year's, and he just gets back to work every day. He doesn't say much. He's as humble and modest a person as you'll ever meet, which is just a great credit to his family, the values and principles that they've instilled. And he just comes out here every day and you know does his work. And then, like you said, every match he plays, he has a bullseye, and there's a target on his back, and that's going to be a big match for his opponent. Um, Whatever match it is, that's going to be a big match, maybe the biggest match of the year for his opponent every time. And guys bring their best every time. He's had a lot of early, battling out in a break or 7-6 sets in the beginning, and um, he just keeps going. He takes it in stride. He has a very, very unique, even keel personality where like, yeah, everything's okay, man. I got this. It's all right. We're all right. And I get on him a lot because sometimes things come easy to him. Certain parts of the game come easy to him. I think that academics also comes relatively easy to him. So we've just had to push him, keep trying to push him in the right way. At the same time, the kid is a brilliant. He has a brilliant tennis mind, and we do a little. We watch some video, and he'll say things before the coaches have even seen it themselves. He'll say, "Yeah, I should have done this there. I should have done this there," and he just sees it, and I think he has incredibly bright future for tennis wise, and then whatever comes after tennis.
What asked with love because I agree he is just one of those talented guys. What
Yeah.
is he not good at? Like, have you seen his jump shot? Like, can he has he passed the
I
swimming
don't
test?
know
Like,
if he
there's got to
can
be
do it.
something.
Yeah, I don't know if he. I've never been on the basketball court with him. I don't know if he could do that. He's very fast on the track.
Of
He
course.
he's extremely fast there. Um, Look, from a tennis standpoint,
Yeah.
and we've sat down with a lot of people, several people who have either been top five in the world themselves or coached, world number ones, and we said, okay, well, what's it going to take for Michael to really make it at the next level, right? Because you see a guy like Jake Fernley, who's, probably 50, 57, 58, top 60 in the world now.
Mhm.
Michael beat him in the round of 16 at Stillwater in May. That's 1 week.
Yeah.
The day in and day out, week to week, month to month grind of the tour. What's it going to take? And he still probably has some areas that he can develop in, including physical strength to be able to withstand the ups and downs of the tour. At the same time, he's very good at kind of he'll play a match and he'll do the absolute best he can every point out there. And then when that match is over, he moves on to the next thing. And I think that in a sport where when you're out there in the ATP tour, um, you're going to lose most every week,
Mhm.
except for, very, very few guys, especially as you keep moving up, challengers, bigger challengers, qualities of big tour, hopefully majors, all that stuff. So I think that's going to serve him really well going forward. He's a very special and unique individual, and we're really glad and proud that he's here.
No, the problem is even his metabolism's good, so he can't keep the weight
Yeah.
on. And so it's like, come on, we gotta we gotta beef him up. No,
Well, if
it's
he just hangs around with me and eats everything that if he just eats everything that I eat for 2 weeks, the guy will probably put on like 12 pounds.
he gets on the Endelman meal plan. I like that. That's funny. No, obviously, again, we talked about that senior class earlier, but I got
Yeah.
the chance to see your guys compete in Waco, and losing the seniors that you did from last year's team, I was wondering, like, would you guys still play with that same edge? Would you have that same energy? And I saw it in Waco, and I'm curious, sustaining that edge, sustaining that culture, who drives that on your team this year?
Well, I think, Nicholas Kotzen is one guy. I think you got to take the top four guys have been absolutely incredible. Michael, Nicholas, Max, and Hugo. Those guys we've spoken about them. Nicholas kind of sometimes he goes a little bit unnoticed in some ways because he's playing behind the NCAA singles champion, right? So if you look at the year Nicholas has had, and you look at his development and improvement, which we focused on, which we do focus on every day. If you look at where he was and where he is now, you could argue that he's improved as much as anyone, okay, around the country. And he's just been spectacular. And he also brings a little bit of competitive spirit, competitive fire maybe a little more outgoing than Michael. I think he's part of it. There's another guy, Max Westfall, who's, like I said, Hugo, Max, Jay. Max Westfall is, I told these guys the other day how much I love them, these seniors. And they're like, come on, man, what, just don't talk like this. I was like, no, you don't understand. Like, Max Westfall is one of the greatest people I have ever met. And that has nothing to do with tennis. This guy comes here from Paris, France. He knows nothing about college tennis. He's a smart guy. He arrives here. There's no courts, right? It's different. Everything is different. Now he's in the classroom studying, and he just hung in there, and fought through all the challenges, the tough times, to the point where he was in a position to flourish. And his folks are coming, his family's coming for graduation at the end of May, and we agreed we're gonna all go to dinner together, and it's gonna be very emotional because he's a pretty quiet kid. He's so respectful, he's so sensitive. At the same time, he's found a way to lead in his own way, and to get guys to believe and say, okay, no problem, man. So what? Now what? Something goes wrong, we don't care. We're just going to keep going and see what we can do.
Yeah. No, he's been awesome. I got the chance to be there courtside when he was playing Jansen in that Ohio State match, and
Yeah, yeah,
I have a lot of Max Westfall stock in my portfolio.
yeah.
We were feeling good. Broker was feeling good. I got the call saying, "Hey, we're up 10%. The Westfall stock continues to rise." And yeah, he's been so impressive this season. And again, 19-4, a lot of good matches you could choose to. If there was one match you would come out of saying I was proudest of my team this season, which would you pick and why?
One match. I guess we already talked about Clemson.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? You know what I think? I think San Diego.
Yeah.
So we were coming off midterm exams here in New York. We had not been outdoors in a long time, and we're playing the Monday starting spring break at San Diego. Um, Ryan Keckley is a great coach and a good friend of mine. We get out there, he gives us all the practice courts we need, and but it's only like 2 days outdoors,
Yeah.
2 or 3 days outdoors, right? And to go out and beat a San Diego team who they were actually the Ryan and I have talked about it. Like, the two programs are kind of similar in many ways. Just let's focus on development and improvement, and they are so good. They're especially good at home, and Ali is a good friend of Michael. They train at all the individual events together, and to go out there and to come out of there with the win 4-3 at San Diego. I think that really showed our guys, especially with Sachin Palta clinching. It was just like, Sachin Palta is a kid who was going to go play Division 3. The guy was going to MIT. He's a brilliant math student. He's going to MIT. He contacts me. He says, "Hey, if I took a year off, is it possible you would consider me for Columbia?" And I'm like, "Man, I do not. Are you kidding me? You're a brilliant math guy. You're going to turn down MIT to try to play tennis? Like, I don't need your entire extended family pissed off at me for the next 40 years." So he's like, "No, everyone's on board, and I really want to see how good I can get in tennis, and I can major in math at Columbia. It's going to be great." So the guy does that.
Yeah.
He actually does that. He takes a year off, comes to Columbia. His first 2 years, he's not even close to the lineup. All these guys leave. All of a sudden, he's playing, he's Ian Putter kind of playing 5-6 there.
Yeah.
And the guy clinches against San Diego and three other matches the entire year. So um, that one is really difficult to do, I think, given the circumstances. And we were very proud of the guys.
No, it's so impressive. Yeah, what he has done this season. What again, 19-4 speaks for itself. If you could go back to January 1st and say, "Hey, let's budget more time in practice for this one thing this year, whether it be on the court, whether it be off the court for your group, what's one thing you wish you had more time to do with this team?"
Yeah, it never seems like we practice a lot, and then it always seems like we want to do more. You know, it's a little tangential,
Okay.
but I think that there's something that we could do a much better job of, and that is um, enjoying the process and smelling the roses along the way. I remember when Michael wins the NCAA individual championship singles November 24th and in Waco. And it's just like, this guy just won the NCAAs. First time an Ivy League player has won the NCAAs in over like 102 years, right? And then the next day, I'm trying to say, oh man, we got to get this recruit. We got to do this. We got to fly over here. It like never ends
Yeah.
like that. And then, somebody says to me, he goes, are you enjoying this? Like, do you understand what this kid was just able to accomplish? And I think it's not an exact answer to your question, but I think we and I personally, this is one of my, personally, the thing that I could do a lot better is just kind of, enjoying every day, enjoying the work, enjoying the grind, enjoying the competition. And if things happen to go in a way that, you're pleased with, then find a way to smell the roses along the way.
No,
Our
that's a
AD actually sent me this thing the other day after great guy, Peter Pilling, and he's so supportive of tennis, as everybody is at Columbia. And he sent me this thing. It was just like, I can't remember who wrote it, but it was just along these lines of, hey, enjoy this, man. Like, this is very, very unique. Um, what our guys have been able to accomplish, um, given all the different circumstances.
No, that's a perfect answer to this question, and it gets back to what I wanted to say at the start. Again, like the Sweet 16 is almost taken for granted now for our college tennis fans. Like, oh yeah, we'll see Columbia there, we'll see them at the national indoors. The Lions are a part of it, and that has not historically been the case. And it's a credit to this run of guys, this generation, a credit to what you have done with the program, certainly. And so, yeah, I like that answer. Honestly, when you were starting, when you were going to say tangentially, I thought you were going to be like, we could clean the locker room better. Like it gets a little loose in
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. Yep.
And so I again,
Yeah,
I like
buddy
it.
Hugo, we're going to play hard. We're going to play, we're going to play driving up conference match. And Hugo just says to us, "Oh, I can't find like 10 of my shirts." And we're like, "What are you talking about, man? Like, I can't find 10 shirts." And he had all his shirts, right, from 4 years. And he's like, I can't find 10 of my shirts. What do you mean you can't? We're leaving in like 5 minutes. What do you mean you can't find 10? So, yeah, the locker room's a mess, but that's not as important as some of the other stuff.
That's good. I like that. That's very very funny. Well then,
Yeah.
uh, um, getting back to our friend Alex Kotzen, he warned me. He said you should ask Howie this question. So I look forward to asking you this next one. With how things have changed, and of course Columbia being an Ivy League school, things a little bit different.
Yeah.
How do you view the transfer portal in the broader context of roster construction?
Yeah. I think the entire thing is a mess that's going on in college sports broadly. All that being said, I understand it. Um, yeah, that's his right. Name, image, and like all this stuff is right. And the coaches can bounce around as much as they want. The players have to sit out a year. All that stuff. I understand why there had to be real adjustments. At the same time, is it possible? Would a pro sport ever have free agency with like no rules or very few rules? Would a pro sport ever have pay the players with no salary cap? It's in many ways it's kind of madness. Um, At the same time, I understand it, and there has to be the changes. Yes, I think it's going in the right direction. At the same time, there has to be some regulation and some standardization, at whatever level that comes from. I was reading that now, uh, the president met with Nick Saban and others, and they're trying to have a commission, or like, who knows what's going to happen. And our sport is obviously a little different from basketball and football. At the same time, um, this is everywhere, and everybody's competitive. We could think that we're good coaches, but you can't make chicken salad out of chicken feathers. So there's got to be players, and this is part of the process. Now, what I do think about the transfer portal, there are some real unintended consequences. Okay, and it hasn't affected us that much, but there's kids here, there's guys here. Look at a guy like Palta we talked about, or Sean Hadavi, who graduated in 2017. Rian Pandol lost his last 2 years because of COVID, finished in 2020. These guys, they were like 10 on the team their freshman year. Okay. And then maybe they'll get in a little bit sophomore year, and then they're playing. Hadavi was 10 on the team. The guy played high school soccer and, some tennis. Never played tennis more than 3 days a week in any day of the academic year until he got to Columbia. Okay. His first year, he's 10, 11 on the team. And by his junior year, he was Ivy League Player of the Year. He took a set off Cameron Norrie. Coach Raditi is like, who the heck is this guy? And I'm like, yeah, this guy just keeps working every day, man. And with the transfer portal, there's a lot of opportunity to grow and develop and see what you have inside. That is, now it's just too easy to say, oh, this coach didn't give me a chance. I'm number 10 on the team. Let me just go somewhere else. And maybe that's the right way for that kid, and maybe it's not the right way for that kid. Maybe if that kid had stuck it out and kept on battling like a Davi or a Westfall or a Palta or whoever it is, even though they're going through some challenging times, going through those challenging times is what it's all about. That's how you get the confidence to come back from 5-love down in the third to make the Sweet 16 for Tennessee. It's not from everything being fun and nice, and everyone's like telling you how great you are. It's the challenging times and finding a way to battle through it, and saying, okay, it doesn't matter what happens. I'm just going to focus on how I can best react to what happened. And I think that there's been a lot of ups and downs this year here at Columbia. There's a lot of personally, we lost Dad in September. That was a down. Ismael Marino, who's been unbelievable. The guy starts as an assistant coach October 4th. This guy is incredible. Incredible. Mike and Nick called me when he applied for the job, when Ismael applied for the assistant job, and they're like, there's this guy coaching out in New Jersey. We know him out at center court. He works with Adrian Contreras, and Adrian's a great guy. He's done an amazing job. He helped Michael so much in juniors. So I'm like, really? Is the guy in college tennis? No. But he actually played against us for East Tennessee State University. That was the first NCAA match that Columbia ever won was against him. He played Ashok, and he played Narayan in doubles. Okay, so he comes in October. That's a big high. Okay, Michael wins the NCAAs in November. That's a big high. Personally lose mom in December, and you sent me a really nice note to Robin. I thank you. And it's just like all over the place, right? Everything's all over the place. Then we start in January, and it's like, what the heck is going on? And then the guys have just focused on the process, and that's kind of, everybody says focus on the process, but focused on trying to get better every day. And, here we are with another opportunity, and I'm really happy for the guys.
No, it's I appreciate your answer. Again, it's so fascinating to see where the game has come, and obviously part two of that is the NIL piece, which you talked about, and it's a little different for Ivy Leagues.
Yeah.
How frequently still though? Because and I say this like in the most complimentary way possible. You're not recruiting Ivy League athletes. You're recruiting the best tennis players and saying, well, can you also be a Columbia student? Does that how quickly in the conversation now? How prevalent is NIL?
Yeah, more and more,
Yeah.
more and more. And I think there's a big question with this NIL piece. And like you noted, the Ivy League kind of does things a little differently, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just no scholarships
Yeah.
is a big thing. Um, no athletic scholarships. So yes, it, big question for me is when the Ivy League finally gets there and says, okay, this is what this is how it's going to be. This is what the world is after the House settlement. Okay, so we see how that all shakes out.
Yeah.
When the Ivy League gets there, is there going to be a focus with NIL on recruitment or retention or both? To me, that's the biggest question because it's a lot different to go to a 16-year-old kid and say, okay, you're going to get paid, you're going to get paid this, and you haven't done anything, versus a guy who's maybe been here for a while and proven that he can represent the program with a certain level of character and play at a certain level and do it academically like you noted and fit into our culture. Does it go more to that? That's the biggest question for me. And Megan Griffith is a women's basketball coach at Columbia. She's doing unbelievably well. They won around in the NCAA tournament this year, and we talk about this all the time. Like, how's this all going to play out in this league? Because it's coming at the same time. There's going to be some obstacles. Yeah, we're going to lost our guys. Tennessee, all these guys are all over the place now. It's okay. We're gonna try to still do things in a very similar way as we've done over the years with the right guys for us, and let's see how it shakes out.
No, I appreciate that answer. And yeah, if you need a third person on that text chain with yourself and the women's basketball coach, you have my number, coach. I'm
Yeah,
always down
you'd
to
love
tussle.
Meg. She is the best. She
Yeah.
is the best. We actually both played here at Columbia. She was a star point guard. We talk all the time. We get dinner, and we're just trying to figure everything out to try to help these kids achieve, use our sport, in her case, basketball, and in our case, tennis, try to use this sport as a vehicle to help, you know, continue to teach them character and life skills and also make them believe that they can do much more than anyone else, including themselves, ever thought possible.
Oh, absolutely. And again, I know you have practice to go to my last two questions for you, I promise.
Yeah,
I'm going to ask you to put on the pundit hat here. I know you are locked
yeah.
in to your battle with NC State, and certainly it's going to be a fun one. I'll ask you about it next. But if you had time to just kick your feet up, enjoy one of the other round of 16 matches this weekend, and I can run you through the option if you need them, what one match might you pick that intrigues you most and why?
I would definitely be watching Arizona at UVA.
Yeah.
Clancy brought his guys here last year. We had an amazing match. We were fortunate that it came out our way at the end, 4-3. I love that team. And Andreas is absolutely spectacular. The culture that he and everyone around that program has built over many years. So I would be watching that match for sure. I know there's other ones. Alex and I spoke a few nights ago, and then again um, yesterday. That I guess Tennessee has beaten Texas already this year. Texas is a favorite there, I would guess, on paper, especially in Austin. Um, at the same time, Tennessee has shown um, so much toughness and grit, and hopefully Alex, seems like Alex has been a big part of that, and other guys like Sean, and so I think that would be another one that I'd love to watch.
As I told him on the show yesterday, people forget how much talent was at that 2021 Fall Knoxville Showdown. And I remember watching young freshman Shinsuke, freshman Hugo, young Alex, and just being like,
Yeah.
yeah, there are some players here for the next half decade. And so
Yeah, yeah. Was Diallo there also for Kentucky? I know
I
Kentucky was there, but was Diallo there?
I don't think he was there, but
Okay.
I think Cosney and Weeks were there for the first
Okay.
time, maybe,
Okay.
or just
Yep.
I just remember being like, oh my god, like I'm not the only one seeing this, right? Like this is just a ridiculous level, and I was like, this is a fall. All these teams, yeah,
Right.
it was a fun event, to say the least, and yeah, I think it's gonna be some fun tennis. I think all of us clear your schedule for Hodar versus Colton, because like. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's some once in a
Mhm.
lifetime stuff. My last question for you obviously relates to your match. It's a big one coming up. An NC State team you guys were fortunate enough to beat earlier this season, and by virtue of that win, you got your number 8 seed, of course, locked in. Talk me through what you view as their biggest strength and what it's going to take for your guys to ultimately advance to the final site.
Yeah. Yeah. They NC State does a great job. Kyle, Chris, Dennis, these guys are so focused on development, and you see, kind of where their guys were and where they are. Um, I think it's just a terrific program enterprise. It's amazing what those guys have done, and the fact that they're undefeated going into the last conference match against Wake, in the ACC conference is just it's absolutely remarkable, and I think it's a great program that we can learn a lot from. They came in here, and it was a very tough match in February indoors, and they'd been traveling a lot. It was a tough, very, very close doubles point, and these matches are strange in college tennis. It could be a match. That one wasn't 4-0, but a match can be like against Clemson on Saturday. The match is 1 point or 2 points away from being 4-0, and then 45 minutes later, it's 1 or 2 points away from being down 4-3. So the match with NC State was very close. I have not seen them play since then. I watched Theo a little bit against in the ACC tournament championships. I tried to watch that a little bit. I haven't really seen them that much, but I know, given how good that coaching staff is and how tough the players are, that they just continue to improve. So just by definition, they're going to be better than they were in February. And you look at what they've accomplished within that conference and out of conference to be, they were effectively a top 5 team the entire season. So I think they're really, really good. It's raining today, so we're all practicing indoors, and then it looks like the weather's better outdoors tomorrow. And hopefully we have a good match. We have utmost respect for the entire Wolfpack program, and I think Kyle and the entire coaching staff is absolutely terrific what they do with these young guys.
No, it's a battle. It's 8 versus 9. That's always going to be a battle. But this one particularly fun, certainly, and that's why we're excited to have it on our broadcast. That's why I was always excited to have the opportunity to speak with you here today. Columbia men's tennis head coach Howard Endelman, thank you for taking the time, as always, Coach, to chat, and obviously wishing you and the Lions success here this weekend.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks for everything you do for tennis.
Recording